I've been doing a lot of research into our neurotransmitters at the moment, and I'm going to do a video on glutamate and GABA and comparing those two. If you haven't heard of them before, I'll give you a brief overview, but I'll do another video specifically talking about how they work and their mechanisms of action. But essentially, GABA is going to be more of a calming, relaxing neurotransmitter, and it basically antagonizes glutamate, which is more of a get up and go stimulatory neurotransmitter. And as I said, they antagonize each other to a point. If we're trying to feel more relaxed, we want to essentially increase our amount of GABA as opposed to our glutamate, especially at times of the day where we really want to calm down and chill. And there are a lot of pharmaceuticals out there that can be used to help us relax. But the unfortunate thing about them is that they do come with other side effects, namely sedation, basically. So the ones that I'm talking about here are alcohol, benzodiazepines, what's the other one called? I'll put it in here. I'm having a mental blank. But essentially, they have some negative side effects because they're going to just basically sedate you as well. So you get the relaxation benefit, but then you end up feeling really tired. So you wouldn't want to take them throughout the day. But there are actually a couple of natural supplements that can be really useful in helping to increase our GABA and our relaxation without causing the sedative effects. So the first one I want to talk about is L-theanine. Now, where L-theanine is really interesting and quite useful is that it's actually going to prevent the reuptake of glutamine in our neurons. So essentially, glutamine is going to be taken back up once we've released out glutamate, as I said, which is a stimulatory neurotransmitter. It's essentially going to get taken up by dendritic cells, which are going to convert it to GABA. Long story short, this ends up then being taken back up by the neuron so that it can be reused again. So what L-theanine is going to do is it's going to prevent that reuptake of the glutamine. We can then not convert that glutamine into glutamate, and we can't reuse it. This is really, really interesting. Another really interesting benefit of L-theanine is it's actually going to be an NMDA receptor antagonist. So this essentially means that when we release out glutamate, as I said, that's going to be the stimulatory neurotransmitter. It's going to then bind on to its special receptors on the next neuron, which is then going to cause an action potential and make that neuron fire and give us a stimulatory benefit. But if we were to block the ability of glutamate to bind onto its receptor, the NMDA receptor, then we're not going to be able to cause that stimulatory effect of the next neuron. Interestingly, theanine is able to actually bind onto that NMDA receptor and stop the glutamate from being able to do its effects. So that's very, very interesting. It's a NMDA receptor antagonist. What's really interesting to point out here, and the other nutrient that I want to point out here that also seems to be able to do this is magnesium. You might have heard about magnesium being a relaxation chemical, and so it works much in the same way as L-theanine, where it's going to bind on to the NMDA receptor. The only thing with magnesium is it does actually, in some people, cause a lot of sleepiness as well. So if you are wanting the relaxation benefit of a nutrient but without that sleepy feeling that you get, then L-theanine is going to be more of your best friend. But you might be saying to yourself, well, why don't we just take more GABA? Because you have probably seen that in supplement form. You can actually supplement GABA. The problem with GABA is that it's quite hydrophilic, which means essentially that when we take it in, we can absorb it quite well and it will get into our bloodstream. And actually GABA does have many, mechanistic actions throughout the body, aside from just making you feel more relaxed and calm in your brain. So it can have some benefits outside of the brain neurochemical effects that I said. So if you take it as a supplement, it might work on those things, and I'll go more into detail on what it does in those other body functions in another video. But when it comes to actually relaxing the brain, it's not so ideal because it's charged, and so therefore it can't really cross the blood-brain barrier. But L-theanine can. It's much more hydrophobic. So this means that it can actually cross the blood-brain barrier, and this means that it can have more of an effect, like I said, on our actual neurochemistry. So anyway, I hope you found that really interesting. If you've got any questions on this, let me know, but look out for the GABA/glutamate video coming up soon.